Hi, my name is John Scott. I'm the co-chair for Insurance and Finance for Beaumont, Florida. I want to speak to you today regarding letters of credit in our financial markets of today. The letter of credit back in the early 90s was brought about by the landlords to secure leases because certificates of deposits or deposits that were made in banks and tenants who would fail, the bankruptcy would wipe out that deposit. So letter of credit was the predominant tool that was utilized by the landlords. In the late 1990s, a letter of credit was utilized by the landlords again because of startup companies with internet. They had no previous history or credit track, so they were used to go forward and make the lease. In today's market, where the letter of credit is under extreme pressure because of the FDIC's policies to dishonor the letter of credit as they are taking over failed banks or banks that go into receivership. With today's market, that's a very difficult situation for the landlord and the property manager. And we want to talk a little bit about what the property manager should do to be very proactive in this case. They need to go through all of their leases and see the banks that the letter of credits are drawn upon. If one is in receivership or one is in a failed bank, they need to contact the tenant and notify the landlord that these letters of credits are more than likely dishonored. You can go on the FDIC website and look for the different banks that have failed, and there's private companies that you can go through to find out if a bank is going into receivership or is having a lower rating. The way to deal with these is to be proactive, and in a lot of cases the tenant will be very happy you contacted them because the majority of the smaller to medium companies place down a 2% or more a percentage of this deposit that the letter of credit secures. And so they may be in a position of losing money if this letter of credit is dishonored by the bank. What we would like for the property managers to do is to read the leases and be aware of what's occurring and what power that they have under that. But in today's times, the change in the lease document is the most preferable method. If you're in an amendment or if you're doing any type of lease change, we prefer that you would go in and give the landlord more power to look at the ratings of the bank it's drawn upon, or even approve that bank that it's drawn upon. And that also, if the letter of credit goes to a bank that goes in receivership, the landlord can request from the tenant a new bank be drawn upon for the letter of credit. And therefore the tenant would be able to remove themselves out of the bank before it failed. A new lease that is being written should be sent to an attorney so that we can look at how the finances can be changed into the future. But everything's in flux in today's times, and the financial markets are dictating what we need to do. Financial ratings for the banks need to be monitored, and we need to be very proactive in what we're doing in the industry.